kind of, what is that shape? Curved. There you go. It's curved. And they could both. My mom would lay on one end, and my dad would lay on the other, and he would rub her feet, and rub her feet, and rub her feet, huh, Dad? A lot of feet rubbing going on, huh? And it was just, he was so good about it, and he was so tender and so sweet. And so, husbands, rub your wife's feet. It'll make her love you more. And another one is just, I have this picture in my head of my dad on that same couch, my mom laying down, as often happened, and my dad kneeling to the side of the couch and just hugging my mom. And they'd sit there for 5 minutes and they'd be whispering in each other's ears and just having those tender moments. But that's a very strong visual in my mind of how close my parents were and how much they love each other. Oh, yes. There's a card that expresses the pure love that my dad had for my mother that I found. No, that's not it. Okay, I'll just tell you what it says. I had it at one point. It was an anniversary card, and it said the sweet thing, the part that was in the card. And then my dad wrote at the bottom, he said, happy anniversary, Marcia. I think it's been 30. I loved all but the 8th. Just kidding. I love you so much. Love, Tom. I love my mom and my dad.
Here's a quote from my dad. He said, she was my very best advisor. She had so much good advice. She could look at a situation and come up with options or points of view that I hadn't looked at before. She would come up with solutions for work, church, or in my private life. And I know that they did spend a lot of time talking and counseling with each other, and my mom was definitely that person.
Okay, this is from Bishop Daly. When we were sitting in the hospital right after my mother passed, my dad and Bishop Staley were visiting, and Bishop Staley said, Tom, I'm a little scared. And my dad said, well, what are you scared about? And he said, you lost your filter. And this is so true. I sat by my mom and dad many times in Sunday school class, and my dad would get all tense, and he knew he wanted to say something, and there's my mom, Tom, shh, no, it's not the time, Tom, no. And so I may need to be released so I can sit with my father in Sunday school class, so I can help be a filter for him.
Sorry, there's a story we don't know if we should share. I'll just be honest. I'm not going to say that everyone's going to ask me whatever. It's okay now. Love us. This is my dad. Okay. My wonderful dad. Last couple weeks, he's been calling me every few days, trying to decide if he's going to run for county commissioner again. He really wanted to run, but he also wanted to enjoy his retirement with his wife and have those, tender years where they're both home. So when my mom passed away, I said, Dad, you really need to run again. And so he went down I think it was yesterday, the day before, to the county office in Boulder to sign his name up. And he's good friends with the clerk, so he was kind of sharing the story with the clerks of what happened. And, my mom, my dad he woke up in the middle of the night and, couldn't wake her, and so called the ambulance and took her to the hospital. And would you like to share this, Tom? Sorry, we're not the filter today.
And and I couldn't wake her. I shook her, I slapped her face, I slapped her butt, and I couldn't wake her, so I called 911, and they came and did what they do and with the ambulance, and they took her to the emergency room, and I think she may have coded in the ambulance, and they shocked her, brought her back, and got her into the emergency room, and they lost her again, and they gave her, and they did CPR, and they brought her back, and then they took me out and they showed me some x-rays of her lungs, and her whole left lung was just white with pneumonia. And I went back in and talked to the doctor, and I said, Marcia and I have talked about it, and we, both of us, but Marcia did not want any heroic efforts taken to save her life if she's in real trouble, if she were to survive. And he says, well, we're already doing heroic things. And he says, do you want us to stop? And I said, well, you're going to have to help me with that. That's kind of a tough decision. And he said, well, her brain's probably going to be in trouble, and we may get her back, but we probably won't have her for very long. And he says, do you want us to stop? And I said, well, yes, I want you to stop. But they did CPR one more time and brought her back, and she was, kind of doing all right. And he asked me again, do you want us to stop? And I said, yes, stop. And so they did, and about a minute and a half later, she was gone. That's the story I meant to tell. But when I got to they did CPR and got her going, and she was doing all right, and then I went out and looked at the x-rays and all of those things, and I came back in, and she had coded again, and they did artificial insemination. And I said, I mean CPR. And of course, the clerks just lost it. And Stacy lost it. And I was so incredibly embarrassed. I have no idea where that came
from. All right. In closing, my cute daughter told us a little story that we asked her if she would come up and share with us. Jerry?